Okay, welcome back. Now you saw the goals, go first and all that. Is the Africa under 20 Africa Cup of Nations. Nigeria did not qualify, and Zambia is hosting, but they're actually showing that yes, they can actually host and also win the tournament. So that game ensured that they got to the semi-final. So they've actually booked a ticket for the World Championship coming up later in the year. We have Adeola. She joins us now on this segment. We'll be talking the NBA first, maybe a little bit of MLS. Good morning, Adey. Welcome to
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you.
Good, thank you.
Good to have you, definitely. Let's go straight to the chase, Adeola. The NBA is right now. Second of the season is on. We've seen some really good performances from the usual suspects, like the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs. In the East, you have the likes of the Washington Wizards really doing well, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's your take on the season so far?
Well, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've had an interesting season. You know, there's a lot of pressure for them to repeat, you know, with LeBron James being the king of the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, there was some whining that he was doing as far as needing more talent, but they have, you know, added some pieces. So it's really interesting to see, you know, he was wanting a point guard. Things kind of unraveled when J.R. Smith went down early in the season, but now that they're going to have him back, you know, Kyrie Irving, he's doing good, but they're still managing their minutes because they know they need them as far as in the playoffs. So obviously with them being in the East, they're pretty much the favorite to come out of the East. However, Toronto Raptors is another team that you need to look out for. With them acquiring, they got
Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
You know, he came over from Orlando. He wasn't really doing much.
I didn't see that.
So that's going to be, that's going to be a really good piece. It's going to be really interesting for them. But the team, probably the team to watch out of the East is going to be the Boston Celtics. Isaiah Thomas is just taking the Eastern Conference over. They're really doing some good things. They're a young team, but they're a good team. You know, they definitely have made some progression since last season, so that's another team to watch. In the West, you kind of have the usual suspects, as you said, Golden State. With Kevin Durant being out, it's going to be really interesting how they kind of keep the pieces together, because I think with them adding him, he's such a diverse player. You know, you can get the outside shooting with him. Also the rebounds. You know, he's long, so he has a very long span. He can rebound. He's a very good passer. With him being out at a minimum of 4 weeks, that's going to be a very minimum. The type of MCL sprain he had is it's very tender. So you have to really take it at ease, because you don't want to run into the mistake like you did last season with Steph Curry coming back too early just for the postseason, and you saw how he was not, he wasn't himself.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but the problem with Golden State, they've gotten really comfortable with him, you know, being on the court. But now you're looking, you know, you're taking an average of about 26 points off the table. So you need your scores to really score. And they didn't have a really good game last night. Klay Thompson, 1 of 11. That's not going to cut it from 3-point.
No, it's not going to cut. Now that you mentioned it, let's just go through the results from early this morning. The Golden State Warriors have played their first game without Kevin Durant, and it ended in a loss against the Chicago Bulls, 94-87. That's how that one ended. Jimmy Butler scoring 22 points for Chicago in that victory. Kevin Durant is out for a minimum of 4 weeks. It could be out for longer. Who knows? So very interesting to see how they actually cope without their all-star forward. In other games, we saw the Charlotte Hornets. They lost against the Phoenix Suns by 120 to 103. Marquise Chris scored 17 points for the Suns in that particular game, and they were on fire in that game from the field. They were 59.7% from the field. That's very effective in shooting by the Charlotte Hornets. And last but not the least, we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder lose against the Portland Trail Blazers by 109 to 114. Damian Lillard scored 33 points for the Blazers in that particular victory. Russell Westbrook scored 45 points. It wasn't good enough. Let's talk about Russell Westbrook. This guy is doing amazing stuff. 30 triple-doubles. I mean, the season is not even close to rounding off. I know what's going on there. I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I think with him, he was definitely hurt by the departure of Kevin Durant, and so he's kind of taken it upon himself to kind of show that I don't need him. I'm not the sidekick.
Right?
Yeah, and it's worked for the regular season. However, when you get to the postseason, there's going to be a lot of different matchups. You know, you're going to have coaches that are going to game plan for you. So they're going to allow you to get your points. As you can see, he had 45 points, but he kind of tired out in the fourth quarter. He only had 5 points. You know, he went, I believe it was 1 of 11 in shooting.
Yeah.
And he needs more playmakers. Taj Gibson came off the bench, gave him a little spark. You know, he hit a 3, but he can't do it by himself. You know, everyone can't just sit back and watch him.
Watch him.
Just take over the game.
I hate to say, because I thought maybe a month into the season he was going to tire out. Like, there's no way he can keep getting these triple doubles. I mean, you're literally talking about you're getting points, you're scoring, which we've always known he's been a scorer. You know, he loves to score, but you're actually distributing the ball as far as assists, and that's something that's key. He's, you know, in the past he hasn't been a very good assist as far as a pass and a playmaker, but I don't think he's going to be able to sustain it if they do get into the playoffs. I mean, right now they're 35. I believe their record is 35 wins and 26 losses.
Seventh in the West. If the playoff, if they should end the season in 7th, they get to play against the San Antonio Spurs as it is right now. I mean, the Spurs and the Thunder. I mean,
it'll be one of the two. Yeah, one of the two. Right now, it's only 3 games that basically distributes as far as from number 1 and number 2 seeds in the West. So it's going to be really interesting. But honestly, if he went up against one of those teams, he wouldn't be able to sustain. Yeah.
End of the road, right?
Yeah, it'd be the end of the road, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll go back to Portland Trail Blazers now. Talking about Al-Farouq. I mean, he had a decent game, so to speak. I mean, 32 minutes, 14 points and all. What do you think about him this season?
Just before you come in there, Adey, like Sister Cecilia, in that victory for the Trailblazers over the Thunder, Al-Farouq had 14 points, 6 of 9 from the field. That's very effective, right, Adey? And then rebound 6 and steals. I mean, he's a lone Nigerian carrying and flying our flag in the National Basketball Association. I mean, what do you think of his performances so far this season?
Definitely, I think there's room for him on the team. You know, obviously Festus Ezelius, he's hurt. So as far as being a Nigerian player, that's always awesome. You know, you always want to root for the journeyman as far as the country home team. With Damian Lillard, he kind of had an off beginning of the season, but he's come back on. I believe he had 33 points, which was really good. As long as he's not asked to do too much, as far as to come in and contribute, you know, like I said, he played 32 minutes, 14 points. That's decent, as long as you also have some additional pieces to help them out, which they did have a surprising start. Yusuf Nurk, he definitely helped them. He averaged a double-double. I believe he had 18 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks. So if you can get contribution like that, that'll also help. And with him coming off the bench, I mean, it'll definitely help the Portland Trailblazers. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And before we go now, we're just rounding off now. Festus Ezeli has been out. He hasn't played at all this season. That injury is looking really, really serious. I mean, what's going on with him?
He's still out. I haven't personally spoken to him yet. Obviously, when I get back home, I'll definitely see if I can reach out to him. You know, when guys are hurt.
Did you go to college together?
We went to a college down the street from each other.
Wow.
So we were neighbors. Our colleges were about 15 minutes apart. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Adey.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We need to go on a break now. When we return now, we'll be talking the Nigerian Professional Football League. Stay with us.